Things just got worse and worse and worse as the night went on. Again, valiant effort down the stretch for the Bucs. Just too little, too late. Let's go down and let's see what Coach Fletch and the rest of the crew has to say. As always, go Bulls. So let's head into the locker room right now and see what the guys have to say about that one. Wow. Where do the Buccaneers go from here? What an incredible atmosphere. What a good win for the Tampa Bay Lightning. They snapped a 7-game winning streak. How we feeling, Bucs Nation? It's time to party, baby. What is going on, everybody? Welcome to the Recher podcast, live from Benchmark International Arena ahead of the game tonight between your Tampa Bay Lightning and the New Jersey Devils. The Devils have been fantastic this year. No Jack Hughes, so it should be a little bit better for the Bolts. But, hey, they got to go out there. It's not WHO who you play. It's HOW how you play. We're stealing that from Jeff Scott. That's all he really gave us here in the Tampa Bay area. I hate throwing shade at Jeff Scott because he was so great to me, but not a great coach for USF football. More on USF football and their coach here in about 20 minutes. Alex Golesh was just asked by the local media about his ties to Oklahoma State. Has he been speaking to the folks there in Stillwater? We'll discuss that in about 20 minutes. Make sure you follow me on all social media platforms: Facebook, YouTube, Twitter, Twitch, TikTok, Instagram. Like and subscribe on YouTube as well, whether you're watching at home, you're listening in the car, whether you're driving a Ford Explorer or a Tesla. I appreciate everybody tuning in and loving this program. I can't do it without you guys. Make sure you support us, just like our sponsors, our partners, Honest Hammer Custom Builders, LLC, 813-244-0956 for all of your residential and commercial needs. And, of course, EverHealth, our EverHealth Injury Report, every Thursday at 12:30 with Dr. Rodriguez. We have some injury updates for our Tampa Bay Lightning. It's been kind of crazy to see all the guys that have been in, all the guys that have been out, but we'll get you up to date with that. Suited and booted today. Wait till you see the shoes I'm rocking today. I will show you later on tonight. Actually, later on in the show. Shout out to Eddie with the $5 super chat. Appreciate you, Eddie. Jay Familia, what's good? My Heat won, my Cats won. LFG betting on your Bolts tonight. LFG, you love to see that. Always want to hear from you. Questions, comments, concerns. Leave them there at the bottom of the screen if you want to join in on the conversation. All you got to do is click on the link in the chat, whether you're on your phone or your laptop. Here is the link right here, StreamYard.com/QJNMF429TZ. You don't have to type that in. You can just click on it right there in the chat. King Cook, good morning, Buccaneers Nation. Shame on Jason Light for not being aggressive and keeping us in this mediocre hell. I'm with you, buddy. Janet Best, one of the queens of the Recher Wrecking Crew. Let's go, Bolts. Happy Tuesday, crew. Dolan in the house as well. Coach probably will be entertaining phone calls at the least. And, of course, our guy, Russ, over at Honest Hammer. What up, Jay and fam? LFG looking good in the suit. Thank you very much. You are the man. DT, looking sharp there. Jay Bird, go Bolts from Mexico. Shout out to our guy, David Terry, who lives better than you, my friend. That is amazing. Hope you and your better half are having a good time if you guys went together, unless it was just you. But I love you both, and I thank you guys so much for all the support. Guys, whether you're watching on Facebook, on YouTube, on Twitter, kill that like button, man. Every single like, every share helps us spread the word as we inch closer. We are less than 100 subscribers away from 2,000. That is our goal by the end of the year. Again, on all week this week. I'm off next week. I got a wedding on Monday, and I'll be traveling Tuesday and Wednesday, and then we have Thanksgiving on Thursday and Friday. So taking off next week. So we're going to bring you the heat, bring you some good stuff this week before we take our time off. What do we have on the program today? Well, we are live here at Benchmark International Arena, so we're going to hear from Rob Zettler. I know I originally said that it was going to be John Cooper. Then we find out right before John Cooper speaks that it's going to be assistant coach Rob Zettler. So he's going to give us an update on who's going to be in the lineup, who's going to be out of the lineup. We saw that Steven Santini and Declan Carlisle, a couple of defensemen, got called up today. So we will discuss that here momentarily. We'll also hear, and what's been fun with this Tampa Bay Lightning team is Curtis Douglas, who's 6'500". He's so freaking tall, and Jack Finley, 6'6" and 6'9", if I'm not mistaken. I sat down with both of those guys for some one-on-one interviews earlier today, which was freaking awesome. Those guys are the best. So we'll hear from Jack Finley. We'll hear from Curtis Douglas. Also at 12:30, Matt Matera, Pewter Report, is going to join us to talk all things Buccaneers. And we know he is a card-carrying member of C Nation. John Cena's final appearance on Monday Night Raw last night. We will chat with Matt Matera. Nobody better to break down Bucks and Cena's final appearance on Monday Night Raw last night at Madison Square Garden. What a night. One of the best Monday Night Raws, I think, in the history of the WWE. Also, at 1 o'clock, we'll talk about the Dallas Cowboys. Yes, the Dallas Cowboys. I want to ask you guys, how quickly do you turn off the TV when the Dallas Cowboys are on? Because I see it this morning, and I'm like, there's no chance in hell I'm watching this. None. Am I the same way? Would you guys rather watch it when they lose? We'll talk about that at 1 o'clock. And then at 1:15, the lovely Diandra Loux from the Hockey News is going to join us. She ventured down to South Florida to Sunrise to take on the Panthers, or to watch the Panthers take on our Tampa Bay Lightning. Bolts come away with a victory there. What was it like? Was she surprised that there wasn't more of any extracurricular activities? We'll get with her at 1:15, and I asked Curtis Douglas about that as well. Rolly's in the house. Go Bolts tonight. Still in my Bucks frustration. Needs something to pull me out of it. Jay, International Man of Mystery, Greg DeCruz. Hope to see you in Tampa next week. I'll be back in a week and a half, so hopefully I'll see you when we get back as well, my friend. All right, so we're here. An update. You guys want to know who's going to be in the lineup, who's going to be out of the lineup. We spoke with assistant coach Rob Zettler earlier today. What a great guy, and he's been around for a long time, veteran in the National Hockey League. We always hear from John Cooper, but it's good to hear from some of the assistant coaches as well. Here's what Coach Rob Zettler had to say after morning skate today, including who will be in and out of the lineup.
Call-ups and guys, throughout the organization, you try to have the same kind of systems, I think, in the American League is roughly, right? Do you notice that the players that you've called up have been really good and quick and being able to assimilate into what you guys do here?
Yeah, it's usually our first conversation with these guys. Like I just talked to Carly and Santini, and we good here? You guys familiar with everything? And he says, as long as nothing changed from training camp, then we should be good. So, and which it hasn't. But they're very familiar with what we do, right down to what we do on the penalty kill. So everybody's very familiar.
Deanna Hino yesterday credited that to training camp, said it seemed like from day one at camp everybody was on the same page and you guys were able to kind of establish that groundwork. Do you feel the same way?
Yeah, I do. I mean, it certainly helps when Syracuse plays the same way. They come up, so it's seamless. And so that's good, and they've been having success playing that way, winning a lot of hockey games down there. So, but I mean, that's the foundation of it all, right? We kind of start from scratch at the beginning of every year and go over everything, the details of our structure. And so everybody knows for, times like, games like today where you have a couple of new guys potentially being in and they know.
So it's still game time decisions on those call-ups?
It is, yeah. We're just kind of waiting to see, now and then by game time we should know, but it's Coop's line, show up and find out. Is that how he usually puts it? But that's literally the case. So we're waiting on a couple guys to find out how they felt out there, and then we'll make some decisions.
Did Max re-aggravate an injury, or is this something new?
No, that was kind of new. He felt it a little bit, lower body the other day. Said he felt it during the game a little bit, then practice. I think he tweaked it. So it looks like he's going to be out.
Yeah. Is Sorelli back?
I think Tony's going to be back. I'm pretty sure Tony's going to be back. Yeah.
How about Dominic?
Dominic's going to be back. Yeah, which is good. He's played well for us, so it'll be a good add for us.
Must feel good to say a couple of guys are coming.
Yeah, instead of the other way around. Yeah, no kidding, for sure.
So good stuff there from assistant coach Rob Zettler. As we hear, Max Crozier going to be out for a little while. Not great. We really liked how this kid has been playing, and I think him playing with Lilleberg has brought the best out of Emil Lilleberg. He'll be out for a little while. New injury for him. They said that he got injured in the game on Sunday, re-aggravated in practice yesterday. So hence why they're calling guys like Declan Carlisle and Steven Santini up. Will Victor Hedman be in the lineup tonight? We don't know. It's a lot of wait and see. We do know it looks like Dominic James was speaking to the media earlier today. So it looked like he's going to be back. He'll probably play with the full face shield tonight. And it'd be good to see tough Tony Anthony Sorelli. You're going to need all your players against a team as good as the New Jersey Devils, even without Jack Hughes, one of the fastest teams in the National Hockey League. Let's go to our guy, Eddie, tuning in like he always does at noon. Eddie, what do you got for us, buddy?
What's going on, Jay? It's just gonna be quick. I know you guys have been struggling lately, even though you beat my Cats. But I feel like you guys gonna have a nice, strong home win. It might be ugly, but I got a feeling you guys might win. Let's see. Again, my Heat won, my Cats won, so I'm always happy for that.
You putting any money on the game tonight?
Yeah. Like I said, I'm taking your Bolts money line. Like I said, I feel confident.
Okay.
Yeah, I feel confident. Why not? Let's get that homestand strong. Let's get that going. I know you listen to the injuries and all that, but I still believe they can do it. I did basketball as well, but I'm not really too worried about those. Let's see. Other than that, man, I just want to get on, just praise you. You know what I'm saying? For just doing what you're doing, bro.
Appreciate you.
I'm new to your show, obviously, as you know. I just recently watched you last 2 months, and the fact that you allowed me to just be on like the fourth, fifth time, nobody, and like it's stuff like that, Jay, that makes you great, and why we love you as fans, and why we get on here and praise you and support you the way we do. So with all that said, enjoy the game. Hopefully we get a win, and happy holidays, bro.
You too, man. Thank you, Eddie. Appreciate you, man. Awesome, man. What a great addition to the Recher Wrecking Crew, our guy, Eddie Harada. He is the man. Thank you, Eddie. Thank you so much for the kind words. I really do appreciate it, man. Really, really do. David Terry, wonder why we're not bringing up Geeky, because I think a lot of these guys are going down and coming back up, DTs. That's probably why. And if they're going to call him up, I think they know if they're going to call him up, they're going to call him up for a while. Aunt Renee in the house. I love you, Aunt Shanazel and Uncle Rich. Hope you guys are doing well. Okay, so Jack Finley scored that incredible goal the other night, and he's played really well, but it's been kind of funky for him, right? Because remember, he played 6 of the 7 preseason games. A lot of people thought, hey, he's going to be a staple in the bottom 6, but he really hasn't played all that much until all the injuries have hit. And then since he's gotten in the lineup, he's played pretty damn well. So I really enjoy him, and I think he brings a different element. Here is what Jack Finley had to say after morning skate today. And, of course, before he answers any of my questions, he has to make mention of my shoes.
I like those shoes, by the way.
Thanks, buddy. Kind of my reputation precedes myself, I guess. A lot of patience from you early on in the season, not being able to get in the lineup, and now you're making the most of those opportunities. What was going through your mindset as you're sitting there and you're kind of waiting for that opportunity?
Yeah, I mean it was definitely a little bit of an adjustment. Playing 6 out of the 7 games out of preseason, and then having to sit for some games. Obviously, it's not a fun position to be in, but that this team was hot, and it's a great lineup, a lot of good players. So for me, my mentality was just improving in practice and morning skates, and whenever I was on the ice, just have the mentality that my opportunity is going to come, and all I can do is just be a good teammate, be positive, and be ready for that opportunity.
What about the chemistry with some of the guys that you've been playing with, man? It seems, especially in the game Saturday night, it seemed like you guys are really clicking out there.
Yeah, I love the line. I love playing with Sabs and Dougie. I thought, we did some good things. We had a couple chances, and I think Sabs brings a big physical presence, same as Dougie, and I think our games are similar in a way. We play hard. We like to play down low, and I think early on we clicked, and it was awesome.
When you get the second breakaway, it's rare you get 2 in one game. But did you take what you learned from the first when you see Bob coming out at the top of the crease? And so I got to make a dig to the backhand here. What was going through your head?
Well, yeah, the first one, I kind of had my head down, so I didn't really see him challenging. And then after that happened, I was just sitting on the bench and thinking, next time I do get a breakaway on whoever, I'll try and fake a shot and pull it backhand. And I did not think I would actually get another one in the same game. That's never happened to me. So as soon as I saw the defender fall down and I saw the breakaway, I knew what I was going to do. He didn't challenge us far out, but I still knew I had to make a move on him, and kind of blacked out from there, and it was awesome.
That guy's the man. He really is such a good player. And Serge, I know it's tough, man. You got to turn it all the way up, man. You got to turn it all the way up to be able to hear it when we have some of the music in the background. But really great to be able to talk to him. And I think this is a guy that can definitely make an impact for this team. And you're starting to see the idea that Julien Brisebois had when he built this roster of being able to make sure that he has a lot of different formulas and a lot of different recipes to be able to attack different teams. Some guys are a little faster. Sometimes some guys are a little bit, stockier. Some guys won't play more of a physical game. Some guys more of an offensive game, but you have a guy like that. And then you have a guy like Curtis Douglas. I mean, we saw when he got picked up off of waivers from Utah, and he's just a guy I love. His attitude and what he brings to the table. And I thought it was curious. I remember I mentioned this on the show on Monday. I was surprised that there wasn't more physicality. I was surprised there wasn't more extracurricular activities, that there wasn't more fights. So who better to ask than a guy that we thought was going to be in the lineup for this reason, why he was on this team. So I asked Curtis Douglas, surprised that there wasn't more of a scuffle, more of a brouhahas and slobber knockers?
All right, Curtis, we'll start off with Saturday's game. I mean, obviously, highly anticipated. Any surprise that there wasn't more of kind of the extracurricular stuff, or was it just one of those things where you guys went into the game ready for anything and came out with 2 points?
Yeah, I think for sure. I think we're ready for anything there. I mean, it's a regular season game. We need the win more than anything. So no one really wanted to take any penalties. I think that's a lot of the reason why there wasn't as much extracurriculars there. But I think we did our job. We played hard and physical and aggressive, and I think it showed on the ice on Saturday. I think we just needed to put more of that together on Sunday. But I think we're trying to apply that again tonight.
What's the chemistry been like with Jack and Sabs, man? It seems like you guys are really finding a groove together.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, Savvy's a great addition, veteran presence, and he's a great guy, great player. And then Finn and I are in a pretty similar spot and trying to solidify NHL spots and just continue to get better and push each other and things like that. And I think we get along really good off the ice, which is a big plus as well. And it's just a pleasure to play with both of them.
What was it like for his goal, man? You flip it up into kind of an open spot of the ice there, and the defenseman goes down. You're like, hey, I might get an apple here, huh?
Yeah, I went to change, and then I thought I should probably stay and give him a hug if he scores. But he's a great player. It was a great move. He had a bunch of chances earlier in the game. I thought one might go in for him, and then first breakaway he got, he was telling me on the bench how far out he thought the goal was. So I think he just applied that on the second one, and kudos to the hockey sense on him for that.
We talked so much about your assimilation and getting here and the craziness of getting to Tampa Bay. What is it like when you get into this locker room in the beginning, and then now that you've been here a couple of weeks, that it's talked about not just bringing players in, but bringing people in. What's that atmosphere like in the room when you kind of get to know the guys after a couple of weeks?
For sure, yeah, it's special. I mean, I don't even really know how to put it into words. Like, just the guys have been absolutely incredible in getting me assimilated, like you said, and just getting comfortable and feeling at home here. And I mean, I haven't been here for that long, but it feels pretty close to home now, and it's awesome getting to know all these incredible people, and I'm just so lucky to be here and feed off and learn and grow from these guys.
What a guy. What a good dude, man. Just so glad that this is the way that the Tampa Bay Lightning organization operates. And we've heard about this for years. And I always go back to the discussion we had with Nick Paul when he got traded here from the Ottawa Senators. And he said, I'm not even in the country yet. And the wives and the girlfriends were already reached out to my girlfriend. And that's just the type of, and Julien Brisebois says this a lot. It's not about the players that you bring in. It's about the people. And we've had this conversation too about Jason Light when he was discussing this with Pat McAfee months ago, talking about guys that he takes off the draft board. And you want good people. You want leaders. You want people that are going to add to the recipe, not take anything away with all the extracurricular and all the terrible things on the outside. There's enough good players out there. There's enough talent. And I did this growing, as I was a young coach too. There were certain players that I didn't take on my team just because the family dynamic and the player, I just thought it was going to take more away than add. I'd rather have a less talented player that was a better teammate and had a better family rather than a guy that was a better player, because you just don't know. It's easy to quantify the positives. Sometimes it's almost damn near impossible to quantify the negatives. And that's a scary thing when you're trying to build camaraderie and chemistry within your team. So I love that is such a priority for our Tampa Bay Lightning and our Tampa Bay Buccaneers. And I would say that about the Tampa Bay Rays as well. Okay, so Alex Golesh spoke a little bit earlier today over at USF, and he was asked about what we spoke about on the show yesterday. And we were hearing, and we mentioned this yesterday, that there was reports out of Stillwater in Oklahoma that Alex Golesh had discussions with Oklahoma State about their job opening. And again, Mike Gundy was there for so long, and you're looking at, going into the Big 12. And that was back in the, October 23rd, I think, was when the report came out. Now we're sitting here today. It's November 18th. Damn, it's almost a full month. But when he was asked about it today, he said, there's been no contact. I have not. And he was asked when he was interviewed with Oklahoma State, and we'll ask, here we go. I want to play the whole thing for you. This is from Colby Alfrey, who does a lot of good stuff with Bay Area Examiner, co-founder of TB3 Sports Talk. I want to play this for you guys right now, just so you have it. You have some context here. I don't know how the audio is. We're going to listen to it together, but this is Alex Golesh when he was asked if he was interviewed by Oklahoma State. I want to hear this all together. Pull it up. And here we go.
And interviewing about taking the job there. I wanted to give you the record, or give you a chance to set the record straight. Have you had any talks with them?
Yeah, I've not. Yep, I've not. And I addressed it a couple weeks ago. I'm so focused and locked in on this program and this team. We got so much work to do, but I have not. Trying to stay away from the social media piece. And it's for me, I said it a couple weeks ago, but it's humbling that people bring your name up. It's because these guys have done an elite job of building this place to where people are taking notice. Credit to our kids, credit to our staff, but I have not.
And interviewing about taking the job there. I wanted to give you the record, or give you a chance to set the record straight. Have you had any talks with them?
Yeah, I've
Couldn't really hear that one. All right. Yeah, that's not my microphone. Yes. And I didn't get a new microphone, but I'm getting a lot closer with my phone. All right. So he says he didn't talk to them. He didn't interview with them. So with this being said, right, if Alex Golesh ends up taking the job at Oklahoma State, he just straight up lied multiple times, right? And again, this is the first time that coaches have lied about interviewing for a job while they were employed somewhere else. No. But I tell you what, the vantage point from the South Florida fans, how people are going to view Alex Golesh and his time here in the Tampa Bay area will change based on the decisions that he makes in the future. Now, if he goes and interviews somewhere else after the season, or he takes another job during the season, people still may not like it. But he didn't necessarily lie about it up to this point about what has happened and what he was asked about. If he takes the Oklahoma State job, even if he's telling the truth, people are not going to believe him. It's just the way it goes. If he's always going to be one of those guys that has his eye on the prize somewhere else, and this really isn't the place that he's setting down roots and really being a part of this program going forward and ushering them into a new era, his legacy will be tainted here. Will people be grateful and thankful that he came here and turned this program around? No doubt about it. But it'll be similar to the Willie Taggart situation. And I remember when Willie was here, he was so happy to be here. And I wonder, I know Willie ends up going to Oregon. He goes to Florida State. But he was never as beloved as he was here in Tampa. He never had the success like he had at South Florida. And what if Willie never left? I wonder if he I'm sure he doesn't regret it, because you have to take an opportunity. You have to take a chance, right? But I wonder if he knew what he knows now, would he stay at USF? Think about that. That'd be pretty crazy. And I wonder if something like that factors in to Coach Alex Golesh looking at what's going on in the landscape around the country. Looking at the grass isn't always greener on the other side. Knowing that you have something good here and you have the support here. Man, that's a huge part of it. And you could say that you go into a place and everybody else around there can say, oh, well, we'll give you this and we'll give you that. But right now, you're in a position with USF where everything that you've asked for, you've gotten. And you're going to get more. It's not, all right, well, it's going to stop now. No, you have a CEO of athletics in Rob Higgins. You have Derek Brooks here. You have a new chief business officer. You have Will Weatherford. You have the entire school that is pushing all of their chips to the middle of the table when it comes to athletics. And you're going to be a part of that. You're going to be a guy that gets to decide a lot. You are going to have a very big voice at the table because of how important football is when it comes to growing your entire athletic program. So if you're willing to give all of that up to go to a job like Oklahoma State, people are not going to look fondly on that. Again, I said this yesterday, and I'll say it again. If you're going to Florida, if you're going to LSU, if you're going for one of these jobs where you're a perennial national championship contender and you think this is the best move for you and your family, and you're going to be able to secure generational wealth, not just for you, but for next generations of the Goleshes, I mean, who are we to say no to taking a job like that? But if you're going to go to Oklahoma State, where you're going to get paid better, but you're not even going to be getting the best recruits in your own state. Especially after the Sooners just beat Alabama in Tuscaloosa. You think that's going to bode well for those Cowboy recruits? If they have an opportunity to go play for the Sooners at Oklahoma, they're going to go. You're second fiddle. And I know some people will say, well, it's better than being fourth fiddle in the state of Florida. Yeah, but I don't think you know. Do you know that you're going to be as successful at OK State as you are at USF? I'd love to be able to sit down with Coach Alex Golesh and hear what his real thought process is right now. I'm intrigued. I really am. I'm very curious to what he's thinking right now. Dolan, USF will have to hire somebody who is from here, who isn't interested in leaving for a bigger job. Obviously, they got to figure out a way to be successful and sustained. And the gentleman that I've been teasing is that guy. And I'm not going to give you any hints, and I'm not going to tell you who it is, but I do have somebody that, if Alex Golesh does leave, will be the perfect guy for USF and will not look at this job as a stepping stone job. And I don't want to put words in Alex Golesh's mouth either, because we don't know this for sure. I mean, we got to right now take him at his word, right? There's no reason. I mean, people can report whatever they want, especially if you don't reveal your sources. And we don't expect journalists to do that. We understand that if you unveil your sources, then you're never going to be able to get that information again, and you break that trust. I understand that. But you're also going to get people questioning the validity of your reports, because there's always going to be some of that gray area. And no, the answer is not John Gruden, for those asking. Not John Gruden. That is not the person. I know a lot of people want John Gruden. I do not want John Gruden to coach at USF. No, thank you. We need a guy that's going to be a program builder. We need a guy that understands how to work with youth and understand how to navigate through tough waters. And we had Scott Reynolds from Pewter Report on a couple of weeks ago, and he said that is not John Gruden's strength. When things go wrong, that's not the guy you want. John Gruden's the guy that he will kind of keep your train on the track, but when the train goes off the track, that's not necessarily his strength. So I don't really understand that type of thing. And it doesn't make sense to me. Now, the way that the question was asked, if he's interviewed, question was phrased in a way to give Alex Golesh plausible deniability, leaving it at just you allowed him to freely say he hasn't, when it's more likely his agent or team around him has. Yeah, That's from Nathan Bond for Bay Area Examiner. We'll talk to Nate. I'm going to try to get Nate on the show tomorrow and go from there. Yeah, Derek Brooks. Yeah, I don't think so. He's not going to coach. If you can't win this American Conference with the resources USF has compared to the rest, why do you deserve to move? Why do you deserve to move on to better things? I mean, because it's not over, Brent. It's not over, right? And that's the thing. It's like it didn't work this year, okay, but it doesn't mean that the resources stop because you didn't win the conference this year. You're going to try to recoup and go back at it next year. And you hope you can learn from what hasn't worked. So that's the thing. I get it. It doesn't take away from why they, should have done better. I understand that. But with that being said, it doesn't stop. They still have those resources. The resources don't just dry up because you don't make the conference championship game. They're going to try to reload and, again, put a lot of good things on tape this year. A lot of people are very excited about USF. So I don't look at it as like, oh, the sky's falling. It's going to go back to hell in a handbasket. We're going back to the Jeff Scott days. I don't think so at all. And you look at some of these young players, especially if Alex Golesh stays. I mean, Koger, and look at all these freaking receivers and the running backs. Of course, defensively, you got to get better, but you have Jalen Schuler and Mac Harris. Look at what those guys were able to do. And Jarvis Lee, he'll probably be back next year as well. So there's a lot of good things that I like. And no, Deion Sanders is not the guy Dolan either. No Dolan. No. Another guy. Again, no more hints. You're not getting any hints from me. But yeah, from what we're hearing from Alex Golesh, he's denying it. But, and it's funny too. And he said a couple of weeks ago, I've never, ever chased Dodd. I'm not intending to. I'm really happy at USF. And I just wish that it was posed in a different way. Because if it was posed in a different way, as anybody in your team talked to Oklahoma State rather than has he interviewed, that's a little different. All right, let's switch gears. Let's bring him in. Our good pal from Pewter Report, Matt Matera. You can see him rocking the Mets fit Mets cat today. What's going on, Matty? How are you, bud?
I'm doing great, Jay. It's fantastic to be talking to you. Thank you for having me on.
Yeah, I was going to text you. It was super late last night. I was like, I'll just text Matt in the morning. I think he'll be available with the Buccaneers being off today. We'll talk some wrestling as well. But, looking at some of these things, and excuse the background noise, of course, here at Benchmark International Arena for the Lightning and Devils tonight. But looking at this game, and we'll go back against the Buffalo Bills, it's kind of crazy when you think about it, Matt. If you say, hey, you're going to get all these turnovers, you're going to run the football really well, you think you're going to give yourself a good chance to win, not lose by 12. When you look back at that game, now that we have a couple of days to look back at it, what's the things that really jump out at you?
Certainly the defensive side. I mean, anytime you allow 44 points, it's going to be alarming when you have a defensive coach. To me, the big thing, and we've seen it, we saw it a week ago against the Patriots, it's allowing the big plays on defense, but really more specifically, just an inability to generate a pass rush against the better teams. They can feast on the New Orleans Saints and get 5 sacks. They can take advantage of a 49ers team that had a backup quarterback and no Kittle and get 6 sacks in that game. But they had 1 sack against Drake May and the Patriots 2 weeks ago. And they didn't even get close to Josh Allen last game. And what was interesting and alarming in that matchup is not just the inability to generate pressure, because I think we're learning Yaya Diaby is a solid player, but he's not that alpha guy. He's not that number 1 edge rusher. Is they found success getting to Josh Allen on that first drive by blitzing, being aggressive, and that led to the interception by Jacob Parrish. And then, for whatever reason, Todd Bowles just decided I'm not going to blitz as much anymore. And it really reared its ugly head on that touchdown to Shavers, where they were playing zone coverage. Everybody wants to freak out about Yaya Diaby dropping back in coverage, but that wasn't Yaya's guy when he sprinted all the way back. That was just Benjamin Morrison out of position, but they only rushed 3 guys on that play. So Josh Allen had time to wait, manipulate the coverage, look that way, and then throw the other way. And that's ultimately what tricked Benjamin Morrison. So to me, it's a lot of the lack of pressure that has a trickle-down effect, because then the secondary has to cover more. Guys have an ability to get open, and they're just not rattling the quarterback. And that was a big issue for Sunday against the Bills.
I want to ask you about Chris Braswell. I made this comment to our guy Ian Beckles yesterday. He's invisible, man. He is absolutely invisible. He's not even playing well on special teams, in my opinion. He was one of the culprits of one of those long returns yesterday. What is up with Chris Braswell? Because right now, like, he seems to me like he's a bigger bust than JTS. Like, at least JTS, you saw him on the field. He made some tackles in special teams. Like, Chris Braswell has been one of the worst draft picks that we've seen in this team for the last couple of years.
I mean, it's a telling sign when Hassan Reddick gets injured and he's going to be out for a couple of games, and they turn to Anthony Nelson as the next guy to step up and not Chris Braswell. And Braswell even got a couple of more defensive snaps percentage-wise in this game than he did the last two. But when you see that Yaya's playing 80% of the snaps and Anthony Nelson is playing 80% of the snaps when he's in, and even Hassan Reddick was when he was available, they're not divvying up those snaps. And it shows that they just don't have a lot of confidence in Chris Braswell. And the story on him was, he waited his time in Alabama, and then eventually his time came, and he was able to flourish and make plays for the team. And that was kind of the book that was read to us with the Bucs of, okay, all right, he's a third, fourth string guy. Give him another season. He'll develop more. And then when it's his opportunity, well, you would think he would have had more opportunities with Hassan Reddick out, and they're not giving it to him. And when he is in the game, he's not getting QB hits. He's not even generating pressure to make the quarterback throw the ball a little bit quicker. So I'm with you. I think the Bucs are going to be looking at edge rusher again in this year's draft and maybe in free agency, because Hassan Reddick, it doesn't look like he's going to be back after this season based on the money they're paying him and the production that he's brought. So you're kind of starting over at outside linebacker with David Walker, who will kind of be another rookie next season. But I don't really see Chris Braswell too much involved. He'll be on the team because he's on a rookie deal, but he's not really a factor.
Yeah, it's kind of crazy. You think 6'5" and 4 sacks, 15 of their 26 sacks this year have come in those 3 games against the Jets, Niners, and the Saints. And it's just like, yeah, it's great, but think about it. Who leads the way? And it's Yaya with 4 and 10. And then you look at guys in the secondary, and that's the way they're able to generate pressure. How do you fix the pass rush in season, Matt? Because you can't go out and get anybody. The trade deadline's passed. All you're doing is looking from within and hoping Hassan Reddick gets better, and you're hoping that Todd Bowles can scheme up sacks. It's tough. It's a tough conundrum that you're in right now because the cavalry is not walking through that door.
No, they're not. I mean, one thing you would love for them to get home with the 4-man pass rush, but part of that reason why they can't is because they're dropping back their outside linebackers in coverage so damn much. And again, I'm not even mad about the Yaya thing because Yaya tried to help on the play and sprint 30 yards back, but they still drop back Yaya too much in coverage and Anthony Nelson too much in coverage. And it's like these guys are edge rushers. They're there to get after the quarterback. Same with Hassan Reddick when he was in there. Same with Chris Braswell if he gets playing time. The element of surprise and disguise is gone when you consistently do it. So I think you just got to take these guys and, maybe a broken clock is right twice a day. You have to rush them more than dropping them back in coverage. And it's going to be on Bowles to just continue to bring pressure with blitzes and maybe simplify things a little bit. I mean, the Bucs have such a complex defense and it helps out in a lot of different ways, but then you get guys overthinking. Then you have a miscommunication here or there. And sometimes they focus so much on the disguises that teams go, all right, like we know what's coming now. Like we know that you might drop back a D lineman in coverage or Jacob Parrish is coming off the edge. So they got to find a way to be aggressive, but also kind of simplify it at the same time.
How much of this do you put on Todd Bowles? Because I know we get to this point again 3 years in a row where they're hitting that midseason swoon and you're starting, the pitchforks are out again when it comes to Todd Bowles. You and I have spoken about Todd Bowles and, the last, year and a half now. What's your take on how much blame he has to take on this and kind of the reaction from the fan base towards him?
Yeah, as soon as he makes one mistake, people are going to be at him. I think Todd Bowles has done a great job this year in terms of correcting a lot of his faults as a head coach. But it blew up last game. I mean, I just don't understand why in the fourth quarter they didn't go for it on 4th and 2. And you give the ball back to the Bills, they immediately score, and then that was the game because you're down 10 at that point, or at least 2 scores. Bowles, I respect the fact that he has a blind faith in his defense and in his team. So in his head, he's going, okay, we didn't get that first down. We'll punt it, and our defense will get the stop. But in reality, they were not stopping Josh Allen outside of those 2 interceptions, 44 points, 6 touchdowns for Josh Allen. In no reality were the Bucs going to get a stop on the Buffalo Bills after punting it there. So I don't like the fact that a lot of the coaching mismanagement that has happened with Todd Bowles before really flared up in that moment against the Bills. And then defensively, I think it's a little 50-50. I think Bowles probably deserves more blame for this game with the overall schematics that he dialed up and not blitzing as much. I mean, he barely blitzed at all in the third quarter, despite getting pressure early on in that game with blitzes. So I would have liked him to stick with that. But I think there's other games where guys got to cover. Benjamin Morrison's got to cover the receiver against the Patriots. Zion McCollum can't allow that 3rd and 14 against New England where you're trying to get the ball back and win the game. On the defensive side, I really do think it's 50-50. I think Bowles can, maybe dial up some things a little bit better, but also there's a lot of talent on this team. Tyke Smith's playing great. Jacob Parrish is playing great. But, you still have Vita, Antoine Winfield Jr., Levante. You have a lot of talent on this team, and sometimes guys aren't getting it done. So I think the blame can be shared all over on the defensive side.
What do you think about Benjamin Morrison so far this season?
I think Benjamin Morrison is trying to play catch up from missing a lot of time in training camp. He was in and out, didn't really play too much, didn't really play in the preseason at all. And you look at Jacob Parrish having such a great rookie season. He was there for all of training camp. So I think Benjamin Morrison right now is kind of working out the kinks that could have been corrected in training camp, but he wasn't available. Now, the problem is it's very much trial by fire because you have him playing in regular season games and very important games as well. There's no other way to really correct it. So this moment, yeah, I'm a little concerned about Benjamin Morrison, but for year 2 and year 3, I still think he's going to be a big factor in this defense. I would highly, highly consider this next game coming up against the Rams that have one of the best teams in the league and a great offense that didn't look so great against Seattle. So, they're going to look to kind of get right in this game against the Bucs. I would highly consider for Tampa Bay either, if Jamel Dean can't play, either moving Jacob Parrish to outside corner, which he played earlier this season, and putting Christian Izien in the slot or whoever Todd Bowles decides, or go back to Kindle Vildor at outside corner, who had an interception against the 49ers. Because I think right now teams are just going to continue to pick on Benjamin Morrison until he proves that he can kind of make more plays. And again, in the long haul, I think he will be able to, but in the immediate, it's just not enough.
Obviously, another one of the big culprits in that game was the special teams. And, we've had this conversation before. Earlier in the season, we were like, what's going on with the coverage? And especially now with these kickoffs, I mean, you're holding your breath now when you're kicking off after a score and you're building momentum. We know that Todd is loyal to a fault. You just alluded to that before. Are you surprised? He's not a make a move in this season type of guy, but if there was a move to be made, and I hate for calling for people's jobs, but I just feel like the time is now maybe for Thomas McGahee. This is just not working for the Buccaneers, is it?
It's not. And by the way, happy birthday to Todd Bowles. I believe.
There you go. Happy birthday, Todd.
That's a tough decision to make on his birthday. But yeah, I mean, I don't see what other adjustments that you can really make. I mean, there's been a pattern of this with Thomas McGahee at some of his other stops. I mean, there's a lot of Giants fans being like, I've seen this before. And to me, the biggest issue is that it's not just one thing. Earlier in the season, it was the blocked punts that, really cost them that game against the Eagles in week 4 earlier in the season. Okay, they get that fixed. Great, fantastic. But then another part comes undone with the kick coverage. And Bowles was really private when it came to talking about the kick coverage. I mean, he said, we got to be better and we got to tackle better like every head coach does. But he was asked about, well, did you consider just kicking it into the end zone or kicking it out of bounds? And he said, we did, but it just wasn't happening. What do you mean it wasn't happening? Was Chase McLaughlin just no, I'm not going to kick it into the end zone? Dude, that's your job. That's what you are asked to do. So I didn't understand Bowles being so private about that.
I think that's because it's on.
Can't do it.
I think that's because that's really the special teams coach. Like that's your job. Like, you know what I mean? You're delegating. And I know what you're saying here is like, you're the head coach. You should be able to kind of step in and override that. But you also, I see both sides, right? Because you want to delegate. That's what good coaches do. And like, this is your specialty. And if he is overriding your special teams coach, then why the hell is he out there anyway? So you don't want to micromanage. That's not Todd Bowles' thing. He wants to empower these other guys. But kind of like what you're saying, if we're at the point where we're hoping that the head coach is overriding the guy that does this for a living, why the hell is he the coach in the first place, right?
No, for sure. And that's why I think if they were going to make an in-season move, it has to be Thomas McGahee, getting let go, and then Keith Tandy can take over as special teams coach. But at the same time, I think there's certain moments where you can pick and choose when to do that. I mean, you're trying to win a football game. This was a back and forth game with more than 7 lead changes. I think at some point you got to step in versus, am I going to let this game slip because I'm going to try to prove a point with my special teams coach? No, I think you have to step in certain moments or, throw some advice or whatever the case may be. So I would have liked to see Bowles kind of override that if that is the case, but it was just an odd thing because it was over and over and over again. The Bills started the ball at midfield. It just cannot happen, and it impacted a lot of the game. Maybe the defense does get a couple of stops because the Bills were ready to go for it on 4th and 2 and 4th and 1 because you can take those chances when you're at midfield or at the opponent's 40 versus backed up on your own 30. So that definitely was a critical situation in the entire game.
What would a loss to the Rams do to this Buccaneers team?
Not much, honestly, because we've seen this song and dance before with the losing streak. I mean, it's happened every time that Bowles has been a head coach. So I don't think anybody's going to be shocked or panic if they were to lose to the Rams. And certainly they are going to be an underdog in that game because you have the light at the end of the tunnel that if you win the division, you're going to get into the postseason. And that's why my concern, and I understand Carolina is nipping at the heels of the Bucs, but I would also counter with Carolina still has to play the 49ers this Sunday. They play the Seahawks, and I believe they play the Rams as well, and they get 2 shots against the Bucs. I think they go 49ers, Rams, and then later on Seattle plus 2 games against the Bucs. So everything is still very much in front of Tampa Bay, even if they were to lose on Sunday night. The bigger concern for me is how they've shown up recently against the better teams, the upper echelon teams in the NFL. I get it was fantastic. They beat the Seahawks in week 5, and that's their signature win. But when you get to December and the playoffs in January, I don't really care that they beat the Seahawks in week 5. I look at these more recent matchups, non-competitive against the Lions on Monday Night Football. A good chance to beat the Patriots where you outplayed them but ultimately didn't get the job done because of allowing big plays and then having no answers defensively, 44 points allowed against the Bills. And then if they were to lose to the Rams, I mean, if the Rams scored 30 points, that's 100 points allowed over the last 3 games, 100 plus. So that's a big issue for me going into the postseason. They can have momentum playing against some lesser teams. But to me, it's not necessarily the losing streak. It's not showing up in big games against better opponents, which may do them in when it comes to the postseason.
All right, let's get to the real stuff here. Last night, Monday Night Raw, Madison Square Garden, John Cena's last appearance. There we go. Chain Gang Soldier. I love it. Before we get to that,
I was wearing it today. Yeah.
I love it. I'm seeing this on social media. Like, people in New York are getting all freaked out because Cam Scatterbo was like mixing it up. Like, I'm like, Jesus, get over it, man. I love when they incorporate professional athletes. I remember when Wayne Rooney was there in Manchester all these years ago, Jalen Brunson and Tyrese Halliburton last year. LeBron James has been involved. Like, I mean, that part's fun, isn't it? I mean, I love to see the pop culture intertwine.
I love it so much. The Brunson thing was awesome until he started like shaking his finger, but he was like a in the middle of the season, or it was the off season or whatever. Like, Cam Scatterbo's already injured. He can't get that much more injured. Like, lighten up, people. Have a little fun. You just push the guy. You know, he's a football player. Yeah, I'm with you. I love any celebrity integration. I know people don't love celebrity matches, but I enjoy them. I think it's fun. I think it's like an alternate reality type of thing. So I thought that was great. I wish Jameis was in the mix there. Can you imagine Jameis pushing
know.
against the Judgment Day and stuff like that. That would have been hilarious. Now, it's not a great look after you lose, but yeah, I thought it was fun. It was harmless.
And Jameis was actually in the front row here when Monday Night Raw was in Tampa years ago when he was the quarterback of the Buccaneers, which was fantastic. But an end of an era of wrestling when it comes to John Cena and his last appearance last night at Monday Night Raw. And I was curious what colors he was going to wear. Was he going to wear kind of the red, white, and blue of the Giants and the Rangers? But he went with the dark navy. He went with the Yankee colors, which was cool because remember years ago, CM Punk called him the New York Yankees. And it's been such a unique experience and back and forth with John Cena in New York over the years. I mean, it's been one of the crowds that's really given him a lot of grief outside of the Royal Rumble appearance where he surprised everybody coming back at number 30 at MSG and everybody cheered. And it was wild seeing Eli Manning jerseys cheering John Cena. But the reception last night was incredible. I don't think that they could have done it any better last night. Going against the Judgment Day with Dom and Finn Balor and JD McDonough, three of the better workers in the game, and then also giving and showing some love to Rey Mysterio and Sheamus, giving those guys the opportunity. I don't think that they could have done any better. What did you make of last night and kind of the last couple of appearances from John Cena?
I love what we've seen or not seen from John Cena recently. Just awesome matches, great promos. Love that the crowd is able to serenade John Cena and, show him some love for, all he's done for the business and entertainment and entertaining us as fans for, 23 years now? And his history with the Garden, I think, is very special, too. It was awesome what he did last week in Boston, becoming a Grand Slam champion, winning the Intercontinental Championship. And obviously that's his home city as well. So I thought that was so cool, getting Dom involved as well. But like John Cena and the Garden, there's two things that really stick out to me. One is, and this was early John Cena, the Doctor of Thugonomics, my favorite version of John Cena. When he won his first championship, the U.S. title, he gave the FU to the Big Show. It was a big moment. And then you mentioned the other one, coming out at number 30 in the Royal Rumble at the Garden, winning. I still remember Triple H, like his eyes.
His face was, it was great. Yep.
Yeah, it was just incredible. So those were two special moments. Love the intro yesterday. He did like this little dance where he's like, because you can't see me. Time is now. And he's like kind of laughed at it. So I love that. It was very house show-esque. That's the type of thing you go to the holiday show. It's coming to Tampa, December 27th. And stuff like that. You see those three-man tag matches. I'm nitpicking. I would have liked maybe a one-on-one match with someone different than the Judgment Day. He is going to fight Dom.
I'm with you.
At Survivor Series. So, I mean, that would have been cool to see another one-on-one match, maybe one we haven't seen just yet. It was cool to see the other. I mean, when he got beat down 3-1, I'm thinking, well, surely, like John Cena is going to need some help. And then I was wondering who Rey Mysterio. I think was pretty obvious, but I was curious who the other one was going to be running out. So, but yeah, it was a fun match. It was exciting. House show vibes for sure. Everyone doing the 5-knuckle shuffle and all that good stuff. And the good guys won and thought it was a great way to cap off John Cena on Raw, getting a win because they didn't do that with SmackDown. They have the Smosh finish with Brock Lesnar coming in. But yeah, it was great to see John Cena win, and we still got 2 more events with him. So it's bittersweet for sure. But I love John Cena; he's the man, and it was cool seeing him yesterday.
Yeah, I love the 10 beats of the Bowdrin, the three of them, and the way Ray put his foot over the rope to beat the snot out of his son, which is hilarious. All right, so we know he's wrestling at Survivor Series against Dominic Mysterio, which is really cool. And then it's Saturday night's main event. Time Is Now tournament is underway. We've seen some wins. We still got a couple of first-round matchups. It seems like all signs point to Gunther as being that guy to beat him, but part of me thinks it might be somebody else because of the Intercontinental Championship. I mean, he's going to drop the belt, you would think, in that final match, and that person would be the IC champ. Would it be somebody else, right? Like, that's the thing. It's like, I feel like it's Gunther in the field. If it's not Gunther, who is it?
That's a good question. Yeah, because, even this match against Dom at Survivor Series, if he loses, you can't have him lose 2 in a row. To finish his career losing and then losing. And John Cena's a very traditional guy, and as we know, it's all about going out on your back and putting someone else over. If it's not Gunther, I'm trying to remember like who else is in the tournament because there's been surprises. Like I don't know who's advanced yet at this point and who else like still has to go.
Yeah, because they haven't put like a bracket out like the old King of the Ring stuff. They just it seems like they're kind of waiting on the matchups because I know like Finn and Penta go this weekend or this Friday on SmackDown, which is weird because they're both two Raw guys. You know, there's a guy like Solo, maybe a guy like Rusev. You know what I mean? But like I would thought like Javon Evans might have been a good. You never know. There could be another swerve where somebody comes in at the end and fills in for somebody and like Obafemi wins or something. I would love to see something like that because that's another thing that John Cena said. He's like, I really want to put somebody else over. Like, could it be a Carmelo Hayes? Could it be, you know, I like that. I think that the Saturday night's main event, that there's going to be a lot of NXT guys involved. I mean, that's what John Cena is looking to do. I hope it's not Gunther. I really do. I even hope like I would love to see Chris Jericho come back because I was hoping that he was the guy last night. I'm glad that it was Dolph Ziggler because he got a great pop and he got a much better pop than Zack Ryder. I feel bad for Zack Ryder. But, I mean, I'm just waiting for Y2J. I hope that he makes his appearance back or even Edge to have, like, because Edge has been off. Both those guys have been off TV at AEW for months now. I'd love to see one, if not both, of those guys come back, even if it's just a one-off. Edge will probably just be a one-off. Y2J is probably going to go in the Hall of Fame next year or the year after, so it's time for him to come home. But, yeah, I hope that the surprises haven't stopped now that we know that the first-round matchups. Like, I hope some more of the surprises still come back.
Yeah, and I'm not, like, crazy familiar with a lot of the younger guys and the NXT wrestlers, and that's why John Cena's doing this to kind of, like, put them on display. Actually, I thought, like, when Dom came into the ring against John Cena last night, when the Judgment Day came out, I was thinking, like, all right, I wouldn't hate if it's, like, Finn Balor against John Cena tonight, and then, like, you know, he fights Dom or whatever, but that was fine. But kind of to that point of showing younger wrestlers and stuff like that, I was flipping back and forth. I was watching all of John Cena, but then after that, I was kind of flipping back and forth between Monday Night Football and Raw, and I turned it on for the Gunther match. I didn't know the guy that Gunther was
Javon
fighting.
Evans is crazy.
That guy was dope. Like the way
the man.
some of the moves he was doing, and I know some fans complain like there's too much flippy stuff or there's not enough flippy stuff. I thought it was the good amount of nice in-ring wrestling and then also cool flippy stuff.
He's also big. He's also like a bigger, taller guy. He's not like super small, and he's already he wrestled Randy Orton on NXT. He's wrestled a lot of different guys, Javon Evans, and his move, we didn't really get a chance to see it, but his finishing move is a jump off the top rope into an RKO, which is like dope. So he's one of the guys in the future, man. And he, like I said, he's not like your smaller high flyer. He's kind of tall, and when he gets a little bit more muscular, I think he could be a better version of a guy that I still wish we saw more of in Montez Ford, but I think it's just kind of we're missing out on him.
Yeah, he was a dude. I didn't really know much about him, but after seeing his match against Gunther, I was like, I would like to see more of him because he put on a very entertaining match. So that's what they're trying to go for, and I think they succeeded in that realm of it.
What do we got up on pewterreport.com, my friend?
Tomorrow, we are previewing Bucks-Rams. How the hell are the Bucks going to find a way to win against the Rams? And we've actually had some great episodes recently. They have been during the bye week, but definitely recommend everybody go check it out. We had Bruce Arians on the podcast.
And John Gruden
on the podcast as well. Definitely recommend to anyone that hasn't watched that yet. Check it out. It's kind of evergreen. We talk about the current Bucks, the Bucks teams that they coached to win Super Bowl. So that was a lot of fun. But yeah, just Pewter Report podcast on Pewter Report TV, our YouTube channel.
94_Matera. Check them out on Twitter/X. And of course, all of our friends over at Pewter Report, pewterreport.com. Matt, you're the best. I appreciate it, buddy. Have a great rest of your week. Talk soon.
Thanks, Jay. You're the man.
The best. You can't see me, my guy, John Cena and Matt Matera. He's the best. Had to have him on today, man. Had to have him on. He's the best. Matt, you are the man. Thank you so much. Love our friends over at Pewter Report. They are #1. Really, really good stuff there. All right. Make sure you're following me on all social media platforms: Facebook, YouTube, Twitter, Twitch, TikTok, Instagram. Like and subscribe on YouTube as well. Let me tell you about my friends over at The Honest Hammer. Russ was joining us before. Here we go. Look at this, man. Look at this. Okay, so the thing about Honest Hammer that I love, again, 813-244-0956, is that Russ is a Tampa Bay sports fan just like you. And he's a USF grad. And I always talk about supporting local, whether that's Pewter Report, whether that's the Tampa Bay Times, Lightning Insider, Joe Bucks fan, EverHealth, Honest Hammer Custom Builders, LLC. TheHonestHammer.com. Tampa Construction, they make your vision a reality. Kitchen renovations, bathroom renovations. You got a plot of land that you're trying to build a new home on, they can help you out. And then check this out. They give a discount to those who help our people keep our people safe and healthy. Firefighters, military, police, and nurses, they'll receive a 5% discount for renovation projects and 2% for new builds with Honest Hammer Custom Builders, LLC. Licensed and insured Florida general contractor, CGC 153-1166. No project too big, no project too small. You see it right there. Kitchen, bathroom remodels, new custom homes, new construction, commercial construction, or you're looking for just a renovation of like one of the rooms in your house. They can help you out. Again, tell them that you heard it right here on the Jay Recher podcast. Get you a discount. The Honest Hammer. It's a beautiful thing, and we love our guy Russ and the folks over at Honest Hammer. TheHonestHammer.com, TheHonestHammer@gmail.com. Send him an email today. Also, EverHealth. EverHealth.org, 17 different locations here in Pinellas County. And when you look at EverHealth and you just look at the website, all the different things that they have going on. Providing health care for those who need it most in our community, primary care, pediatrics, dental. When I went over there, I was so impressed when I went to the High Point location over there on 58th Street. There's so many different things over there. From the cradle to the grave, they want to be able to help you out. They don't want to be your last resort. They want to be your first resort. And I just look at how clean and how nice and everybody was over there. They take all kinds of insurance. If you're uninsured, go over to EverHealth. They have a sliding scale to help you out. And then the EverHealth Institute. For people that are looking for a career in healthcare, EverHealth has something with the EverHealth Institute that is very similar to the broadcasting school that I went to. Hands-on training, and then you can get a job right there at one of their 17 locations in Pinellas County. It just doesn't get any better than that. 727-259-2020. Tell them that you heard it right here on the Jay Recher podcast. And as always, the EverHealth Injury Report every Thursday at 12:30 with Dr. Carlos Rodriguez, fastly becoming, if it isn't already, our most popular segment on the program week by week. And I wanted to talk to Oliver Bjorkstrand today. I didn't get a chance to. He wasn't in there when I was there. But we had such a great chat last Thursday with Dr. Rodriguez, or last Wednesday. It was last Thursday because he came back from vacation. We had the discussion about the injury to Oliver Bjorkstrand, the compartment syndrome, and how this issue attacked his tissues and attacked his organs, and just crazy, man. If you missed it, it's up on the YouTube channel. Go check out our chat with Dr. Carlos Rodriguez about that injury. It's not something that you hear of very often, and I can't wait to chat with Oliver about this because it's wild. It's wild to think that, it's not that big of a deal, and a bruise on your side just hurts way more than it should. And Oliver Bjorkstrand, a guy that was acquired at the deadline last year for the Tampa Bay Lightning from the Seattle Kraken, and to lose him for the playoffs, you wonder if he was there, what kind of difference he would have made. But man, when you listen to the injury and you hear about the side effects of everything that has happened, my God, just glad that the guy's alive. Holy smoke. Unbelievable. Dolan says, saw something on Instagram. Supposedly today's the 29th year anniversary of WWF introducing The Rock. Correct me if I'm wrong. I don't know. That'd be great, though. Edge has to come back. All right, let me ask you guys a question. I want to hear from you. So this morning I wake up and I'm getting ready, and I kind of look over at the TV. Oh, wait, was I here? Maybe I was here already. Was I here? Yes, I was already here. Okay, something about this morning. So I walk into the building today, and I'm looking at the TV screens, and I'm looking at the Cowboys. Is their win impressive? And looking at an entire panel of experts for ESPN talking about the Dallas Cowboys. And I'm walking by and I'm thinking to myself, I could not care less about this topic of conversation whatsoever. And for all the discussion about Stephen A. Smith and the ratings for ESPN, to me, people just put on ESPN because if there's breaking news in the sports world, they want to be upfront or they want to know right away. And I don't think it really has anything to do with consuming the products in the morning of Get Up or First Take or any of that stuff, because I don't really care. Like, I don't really care what these people have to say, because a lot of times it's all hot take BS, and it's a bunch of stuff that I really don't care about. Am I alone in this? Like, when you're watching these programs and they're talking about the Dallas Cowboys, are you listening? Do you care? Do you really give a shit about the Dallas Cowboys when they're talking about them, especially when they're 4-5-1? Like, I really don't care. Like, I could not. You're not going to catch me spending any time listening to what they have to say when it comes to breaking down a team that's not even above 500. I don't care. It'd be one thing if they're a good team. It'd be one thing if they're a perennial playoff contender, but they're not. It's not even interesting. Like, there's not even any interesting stories about the Dallas Cowboys right now. Yeah, they traded for Quinnen Williams. They traded for Logan Wilson, but they're still not even close to being the best team in their division. So I can't turn the channel quick enough. I would rather watch anything else. I'd rather watch reruns of Ink Master. I'd rather watch Food Network. I'd rather clip my toenails. I'd rather do so many different things than to watch a panel of NFL experts discuss the Dallas Cowboys on First Take. It's just, I don't even care. It's not even one of those things where it's like, oh, you watch them to tune into people talking shit about him, or you tune in to hear Stephen A. Smith laugh about Jerry Jones and put on his cowboy hat and make fun of how bad they are. Like, I don't want any part of that. No part of it whatsoever. I just don't care. Am I the only one? SRQ Tom, you're with me. Nope, don't care about the Cowboys. Didn't even care about them when I lived in Dallas. It's such a weird fascination that the national media has. And I'm curious to see the numbers. Like, do people really tune in? Like, I don't even know that many people. I don't even know that many people that are Cowboys fans anymore. Like, I had a couple friends growing up. Like, I guess they do turn out when, the Buccaneers play them. But a lot of those fans are a lot older. Like, I don't see a lot of young fans bragging about being Cowboys fans now. I mean, you have those kids those guys that are around my age that grew up in the 90s, that they're Bulls fans, they're Cowboys fans, they're Yankees fans. And it was like, all right, you just pick the winning team. And that's, let me guess, your favorite athletes are Derek Jeter, Michael Jordan, and Emmitt Smith. How original. This is a great point. What would you rather watch than ESPN talking about the Dallas Cowboys? Get your comments in right now. I like this one. I'd rather watch Aqua Teen Hunger Force than anything on the Dallas Cowboys. What would you rather watch than ESPN morning programming talking about a 4-5-1 Dallas Cowboys team? Benny says, I'd rather watch Aqua Teen Hunger Force. He would rather watch French fries and a soda cup and meat wad and anything else but watching the Dallas Cowboys. I am with you. Benny says, my dad was a Cowboys and Yankee fans in the 60s because they were good and there was only like 6 teams. What would you rather watch? Anything. I would rather watch reruns of Law and Order SVU. I would rather watch a VHS tape of my sister's baton twirling recital. I would rather watch an infomercial on silver coins. I would rather watch Walker, Texas Ranger. I'd rather watch paint dry and grass grow. Thank you, Dolan. Let's see. I would rather watch C-SPAN. I'd rather watch local government officials talk about streetlights. I'd rather watch Distance Signal on YouTube. Let's see. I'd rather watch Antique Roadshow. There you go. That's a good one. I'd rather watch La Femme Nikita and Silk Stockings than them talk about the Dallas Cowboys. Let's see, what else? I'd rather watch, I'd rather watch Parks and Rec. I'd rather watch Dateline. There you go. I'd rather watch I'm Chris Hansen from Dateline NBC. Yes. I love that. I love that. I would rather watch Pokemon Indigo series. That was the jam from back in the day. Let's see. I would rather watch anything else than what the hell that is when you're talking about the Dallas Cowboys. Enough is enough. They haven't been good since the 90s. At least when you're talking about LeBron, you're like, all right, bro. Like, at least he's one of the greatest of all time. We kind of get that. But Rolly says he'd rather watch SpongeBob. Benny would rather watch Thundercats. I'd rather watch anything else. He-Man and She-Ra. I used to call my dad He-Man, and I used to call my mom She-Ra back in the day. There you go. I usually switch it over to the Nat Geo channel and watch them catch smugglers. There you go. There you go. Anything. But watching, I turn it off so quickly. It's crazy. I do not wait. It's just quick. I don't really watch those shows anyway because I think it's just a bunch of crap. I just think it's one of those things where people are, that's not what it's all about. That's not the reason why I got into this industry. I really don't care. I don't care. Happy Days, Fonzie, Family Guy. Lucky there's a Family Guy. Lucky there's a man who positively can do all the things that make us laugh and cry. Hold on. While we wait, Diandra Lou's going to join us. Let's see if we can. You guys hear the music? There we go. Night driving. Here we go. I'd rather watch the person who made this beat. There we go. I like this beat is way better. Listening to this beat is better than watching them talk about the Dallas Cowboys. Dak Prescott made history. Who cares? Who cares? It's pretty cool. This Rink of Dreams stuff. It's got to be cool. Like, you're playing on the ice here at Amalie Arena the same day that the Lightning play the Devils tonight. That's pretty badass. They have a referee. They have the music and everything. Some of these guys can't really skate, but who cares? You're skating on the same rink. You got that right, Richie. I don't know if necessarily I would want to do this. I want to be out there with the players. Like, I want to try to shoot on Andrei Vasilevsky. I'm telling you, I'm still doing this. I want 100 shots on Vazzy because I'm going to score one. I'll get one. I'll just keep it on the ice the whole time. I'm not lifting the puck. I'm on the ice, and he's going to have to go down and up and down and up and down and up. And at shot like 42, I'm scoring on Andrei Vasilevsky. I don't care what anybody says. I would love to crash the Bolts practice. That'd be pretty badass. All right, while we wait for Diandra Loux, since you guys are waiting, I'll show you guys my shoes. You guys ready? You guys ready for this shit? I don't know if you're ready. This is an all-timer right here. Oh my gosh. Diandra, she's going to take a picture. We're getting her on in a second. These things are dangerous. If you get too close to Diandra Loux, I will kick your ass. Seriously, kick your ass. And you may have a spike in them. This is the kind of love that we have for our local media. You mess with Ed and Cena, you mess with Eric Erlinson, you mess with our good friend Diandra Loux, that's it. I'm coming after you. I'm kicking your ass. And the reason why I got those shoes, is because I really got them for South Florida and the Florida Panthers. Because I just don't know. I don't know if one of these days all of the vitriol and all the hatred is going to permeate its way up to the press box. And if somebody gets loud with Diandra, the jacket's coming off, the shoes are coming out, and I mean, I can't really. I'm gonna apologize in advance for my actions. Maybe not. I'm not apologizing for sticking up for my pals in the local media, especially Eric, Ed, and Diandra, because we stick together. We do not mess around. So I was ready. I didn't go down there because we had a baseball tournament, but Diandra went down there, and we welcome her lovely self to the show. Diandra, what do you make of the last 2 minutes of our show and the description?
What an intro that was. And I walked in at the perfect time.
I was like, let me show everybody my shoes before Diandra comes on. As soon as I take my shoe off, you popped in the lobby right there. I was like, all right, here we go. And you should have seen it this morning. Like, Ed was touching it. Eric wasn't touching it. Jack Finley's like, whoa, dude. Unbelievable. Victor Hedman's brother and his like whole family was here. And then Brian Breesman's like, yeah, they came all the way here from Sweden because they heard about Jay's shoes. Like, it just became, these things are like I touched it by accident. These are dangerous.
I do agree that you need to wear them for the next Panthers game, but specifically like when we go to Sunrise, because that's when it really gets a little, I will say it's getting a little edgy. Do you know what I mean? I think a lot of trolling, and I think those could come in handy for sure. I told you I was hoping that it would be the whole crew going to Sunrise. That's when it's the most fun, but it was just Ed and I, but it was still a good game.
Yeah, definitely. Especially because the Lightning won. Yeah, and it sucks too because I had a tournament and it was in Bradenton, and I've had 2 or 3 tournaments this year that were in West Palm Beach. And if this past weekend was in West Palm Beach, I would have had the games in the morning. I would have went to the game at night and then came back for baseball the next day. But unfortunately, I wasn't able to make it. Our good friend Diandra Loux joining us from the Hockey News. All right, so were you surprised that it wasn't more of a fisticuffs? I asked Curtis Douglas this morning, and he goes, hey, man, we were kind of ready for everything, but nobody wanted to really take any stupid penalties. They wanted to get the 2 points. They understood how important it was. We know that George Paros was in the building and Schick was in the building, and all eyes were on this game. But still, surprised that it wasn't more filled with shenanigans and tomfoolery?
Yeah, I actually didn't know what to expect going into this game. I told Ed actually when it started, it seemed like, because we thought something was only said to the Lightning after that preseason game, given the fine that Coop got and all of the suspensions and everything. But it kind of seemed like maybe something was said to the Panthers. Also, I thought, God, if they would have handled this from the beginning, what it looks like, Like wouldn't have been concussed twice. So that's what it looked like to me, is maybe the Panthers, something was said to them because that was not the same team. And it is very different when they're not concussing people and elbowing people in the head, because it was a totally different dynamic. That game was completely different. And so, I mean, it was pretty clear early on, I think a couple times, Sabrin, was trying to go with some of the guys, and it was just like they were not interested in doing that this time, which is not something we're used to seeing with the Panthers at all. They're also very injured as well, and that will humble you quickly for sure.
Yeah, I think that was that also is another thing. Like, I'm with you. I think Florida did not put their foot on the gas pedal, and they didn't have their full complement of players either. And we know that Barkov is out, even though he's not that type of guy, and Kachuk's going to be out for a while. And even the Lightning were riddled with injuries too. So it's kind of weird. It's like you're fighting kind of somebody else's battle in a weird way. But the Lightning came away with 2 points, Diandra, and I think they played a really good game. And what do you make of that fourth line with Sabrin, Finley, and Douglas?
I was going to say that line in particular. Also, the fact that Hagel didn't play, I don't know what it would have looked like if Hagel was in. And Hagel and Cirelli, that's a package deal right there. So I don't know what it would have looked like had those two been playing. I think AJ Greer, like that is still something that will be addressed, I'm sure, at some point this season with Greer. But that I was going to say that fourth line, I actually talked to Curtis Douglas yesterday, but that fourth line, like they wanted none of that fourth line.
Yeah.
Those guys are what it's like. Curtis Douglas is 6'9", 6'6". How tall is Scott Sabrin? I forget.
I think it's 6'4", 6'6", and 6'9", if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah, I will say having that line on the ice makes a big difference compared to what we saw with the Lightning last year. But I talked to him. I talked to Curtis Douglas yesterday, and we talked to Finley. Obviously, he got his first goal in Sunrise. And I mean, they started building chemistry right away. And from what they've told me, like Sabrin is the guy that's kind of leading them
Right.
rookies, and they're just kind of going with what he like guides them, and
Yeah.
they feed off of him, which is I don't know, it's awesome to see like a guy like Sabrin come up and play some NHL games and obviously make a difference. Like he had some scoring chances even against Vancouver, so it's been fun to watch them. And also it's just a nice dynamic with the younger guys and the guys coming up from Syracuse and the vets that the Lightning have already. It's just a very exciting energy now.
I think it was getting a little stale last year when it came to the Lightning. And, a lot of that had to do with the salary cap and not being able to call guys up. And if a guy got hurt, it was just like, all right, well, we're just going to have to deal with it. And Julian Breezeball talking to us before the season, kind of giving us the heads up of like trying to be more versatile and being able to throw different looks at different teams. And we know that the Panthers are at the top of that list, and not just because they're the Stanley Cup champs, but it just seems like the Lightning play them every year in playoffs. But what have you seen as far as the difference between what you saw last year from the Lightning team as a whole compared to this year?
I think the story for me so far this season, obviously it's a long season, but so far it's been the fact that they've been able to rely on these guys coming up from Syracuse, and they're not like they're delivering, like they are coming up ready to go, and they're playing really well. And I think you see guys like Braden Point or Cooch, like that top line. I don't want to put Gensel in there, but like Cooch and Point, right, have obviously offensively, like they are not the same that they were last year so far. When you have the depth that the Lightning have now, they've kind of rebuilt that Syracuse roster. Julian did a really good job of that this summer. They've been able to rely on those guys. Like they're not just coming up and blending in, they're actually making a difference, and they're scoring goals, which the Lightning really need right now as those top guys start to kind of figure it out. That's been the story for me. Those guys want to stay up here. Like they don't want to just come up and go back. Like they really want to be able to be impactful. And I think my thing is we're kind of seeing, right, the different eras of the Lightning, right? Because you have the guys that you're so used to, like you said, it's the same thing we've known for the past however many decade, right, of what the Lightning look like and what the day-to-day is like. And then now you have kind of this, you have like the middle group, and then you have these young guys coming in from Syracuse. And it's been really fun to watch for me, honestly.
Yeah, it's funny because you have like Hedman and Kucherov and McDonough and guys like that, and the Stanley Cup winners, and then Cirelli's kind of in there, but he's the younger group, and then you have Hagel, Paul, and some of those guys have come after, and then now you have some of these new guys, and they're not always the youngest either, right? Like because you look at Stu and you look at Dominic James. I mean, there's those two guys. It's not like they're 19 years old, but those two guys specifically, I think Diandra, have set the tone for those young guys or these new faces that we've seen with the team. Because it's, and it looks like Dominic James will be back tonight. But, man, you can't take James and Dastu out of the lineup. They're two of the better players that we've seen so far this season.
No, yeah, they can't go down. And I know Curtis Douglas hasn't played a lot of minutes, but you can see, like, he knows what his role is on this team. And when he's on the ice, like, his whole thing is I want people to know that I'm there, and I don't even want them coming near a guy like Brandon Hagel. Like they have to know that my presence is there. And the Lightning did not have that last year. So, and then you could add like Sabrin, like you said, the guys from Syracuse are not always the youngest guys, but they are adding fresh energy. And like I said, Sabrin's kind of anchoring that fourth line, what the guys told me. So they just, he's a vet, like he's been around for a long time, and they can kind of listen to him. But it was nice to see Finley in as well. I would like to see more of like what he can do, because he does add size to the lineup. And but yeah, like you said, Dominic James and Stu, I mean, I don't think they're going anywhere. The Lightning definitely needed guys like that. They've been looking, what Dominic James was 6th rounder, Stu is undrafted. Like that's what they needed.
Yeah, to get the depth from these guys has just been absolutely incredible. And you start thinking like, what happens when everybody gets healthy? D, like what 12 forwards do you put out there when everybody gets healthy?
Trust me, my brain has been trying to figure that out. I don't think Dominic James is going anywhere. I will say that. I don't know what's going to happen with. I mean, Sabrin will probably. I would think that would be. But I mean, if he keeps scoring, like he is making himself. I mean, I can see them calling him back up when they need him, but. I don't think Curtis Douglas is going anywhere. I know he doesn't play a lot of minutes, but he plays a specific role, and he's working really hard to kind of stay up and keep that going. But I don't know. It's tough. Like when Nick Paul comes back, what do you do?
Yeah, I don't know. Like you look point Kucherov, and let's say you just put Gensel on that line, right?
Mhm.
And then you have Hagel, Sorelli, and let's just put Bjorkstrand there. And then Paul, right? Gonsalves, right? And James, like, is that your third line? And then your fourth line, you have Gord, Holmberg, Gergensons, Finley, Douglas, right? Like that's 5 guys. So what does that mean for like a guy like Gage Gonsalves, right? Like he's the one guy that's need to step his game up because I think he could be the odd man out of this entire thing. What I like so far is that Gonsalves, I think there was a point like 2 weeks ago where Gonsalves and Radish looked like they could have been the 2 guys out, and they've played much better since that time. The injuries definitely helped them stay here, but I mean, those are 2 guys I think, D, that really they have to make sure that they're on their P's and Q's because they could be a victim of the numbers crunch. Do you agree?
Yeah, no, I agree. Those are the 2 guys that I think would be kind of on the bubble. I mean, Ratty was there, right, until the injuries hit, and they put him on the power play, and I think that also has been big for him, right? If he can continue to keep that up, if they keep him on the power play for a little bit. The power play is definitely a work in progress. Like you talk about Bjorkstrand, and that's obviously not working. I don't know what they're going to do on the power play. Obviously, there's a couple different things that they can do, but right now I think Radish has been able to, obviously the injuries, but also Ratty's on the power play right now. If he can produce on the power play, that'll, get him off that bubble. But I feel like the injuries are so revolving that who knows when they're going to have to actually send somebody back down.
Yeah, it's a good point. It's, you worry about that when the time comes. It's a good problem to have. But I actually like what they've seen from the power play as of late. I like some of the adjustments. They just haven't been able to cash in. I mean, the big thing is the entry, making sure that you get into the zone and go from there. I wanted to ask you kind of off the beaten path a little bit of the Olympic roster. And when you see the Olympic roster and you see all these different imaginations of it's going to take every 12 top forwards, every top scorer. But we've seen, even with the 4 nations last year, that Hagel and Sorelli made that team. And Hagel and Sorelli, again, they're not on these TSN and Sportsnet and all these different things. And it's like, Cooper loves these guys. Breezeball is a part of this whole thing too. And you can't have 12 first-line forwards. You need guys that can kill penalties. If you had to take a guess, do you think Hagel and Sorelli are on Team Canada for the Olympics?
Yeah, no doubt. I actually saw, I think it was Pierre LeBrun put out a story, maybe it was last week, that Sorelli was kind of on the bubble of making the Olympic team. Only like, first of all, he's, besides getting injured, like he's had such a strong season. I would say like arguably if the Lightning, if you look at the slow start, like Sorelli was the most consistent player all the way through for them. I don't see Coop coaching the Olympics without Sorelli. Like, that's his guy. You know what I mean? From the start all the way through, like those guys are gonna, stay together forever. So no, and Hagel definitely, both of them. I mean, I don't see how either of them don't make the Olympic team. That would be wild.
Yeah, it's like, all right, well, we get Bedard and Celebrini and all these guys, and it's like, yeah, it's just like, all right, we get it. Like you got to play defense too. You can't just go out there and score a bunch of freaking goals. What do you look?
Two-way player, like why would you on your team?
Exactly. So when you're looking at a game tonight, you're playing New Jersey. Obviously, Jack Hughes is banged up, one of the best players in the league. But what are you looking for as you? And I don't look at Sunday. To me, it was just a one-off. All the emotion was going into Saturday, and I think they just kind of ran out of gas. So I don't look at the game Sunday and how it ended and think like that's going to be a problem. There's going to be any trickle-down effect because I think we've been talking about so many moving pieces. But as we kind of like put November 15th behind us, because we've had that date circled on the calendar for the last freaking couple of months.
Yeah.
I feel like this is like a second season now for the Lightning, right? Like this is a new season. What are you looking for in the first game of that new season tonight against the New Jersey Devils?
I mean, I know, well, I'm sure you already know this, but like they weren't supposed to have practice yesterday. And because of the loss that they had on Sunday, they had a full practice yesterday. And I think like the biggest thing that I took from that practice is them, like typically with the Lightning, this has just been historically how they are. Like they'll start to go down, maybe there'll be a 1-goal deficit, and you'll kind of see things progressively get worse. They want to train them to not think that way. So I think, New Jersey has a lot of injuries too. Not that that's an excuse for either team, but like they're also battling a lot of injuries. So I think the Lightning are going to come in. They need to get a win at home. I think watching them, like they knew why they were there yesterday.
Right.
They're going to want to like kind of erase that, move on, and get 2 points tonight, obviously. So I think they're going to come out the gate strong. They're getting Sorelli back, which is huge. And then we'll see like what happens with the decor. I know they're kind of a game time decision, but it would make a huge difference to have Victor Hedman back on the ice with them because that decor is banged up. So we'll see what happens. But they're going to be ready to go for sure tonight. I have no doubt.
Yeah, Santini and Declan Carlisle get called up this morning. They were the first 2 guys on the ice for morning skate. And you look at the names. We know Crozier's going to be out for a little while. We know McDonough's still on IR. So that's 2 guys that are definitely out. They were talking about Hedman and Chernak possibly being out. It looks like Moser will probably be in, but this is just kind of crazy that they have so many guys that are in and out. I mean, last year, for the most part, I think they were relatively healthy, but this year has been completely different. It's worked out pretty good for the Lightning because if this would have happened last year, they would have played games with like 2 guys down. Like they wouldn't have been able to – they would have had to trade people because they just didn't have any room when it came to the salary cap. So,
like, if it's going to happen, if it's going to happen, this season is like the one that it can happen because you look at the rest of the Atlantic Division and everybody is banged up. I think Austin Matthews is out in Toronto. Like the Panthers are obviously dealing with their own, injuries. And then you just look at the standings. I think the Lightning are, when I checked last, which I think it was yesterday, like 4 points out of first place, but it's a weird season for injuries. And like you said, like the Lightning have depth this year and they've been able to rely on these guys. So I guess if it's going to happen, I don't remember. I was going to ask you, I don't remember the last time they've been this injured.
It's been a while. It's because they've been relatively, usually like we saw years ago when it was like Cooch was out for a while, Stammer was out for a while. That was the big thing, but they really haven't had anything like this for anything that I can remember where there were so many guys from Syracuse called up. This is a good question from SRQ Tom. What is going on with Connor Geekie? Last I heard, he got sent to Syracuse and haven't heard anything about him since. My answer to a question posed about Connor Geekie before, Diandra, was, he's a guy that if they call him up, I think they want to call him up for the long haul. But I'm in the minority, or maybe I am, I don't know. But I think Connor Geekie is a guy that eventually should play with Point and Kucherov, because I just feel like he gives you something that we haven't had since Andre Palat, a physical body that is going to shoot the puck and shoot the puck and shoot the puck some more. They haven't really found a guy like that. I think Gensel plays better with Hagel and Sorelli. I just think it makes your lineup better. But what is your take on Connor Geekie and what you've seen from him, and your opinion on why we haven't seen him amidst all of these call-ups?
Yeah, I was actually just talking to Eric about this yesterday, like kind of what his thoughts were on Geekie, because I know like his role would be he would be in a top 6 role here. And I don't know where he fits in at this moment right now. So I think I was a little surprised that they didn't call him up against the Panthers, but I feel like when they do that, there's a very specific reason why he didn't get called up to play against the Panthers. And I think he's in Syracuse. They're developing him. I agree with you. Like if he's going to stay with the organization, I think that they're going to let him go down to Syracuse, play top 6 minutes, work on his skating. That was the biggest thing. When I talked to him in training camp, he's like, I spent the entire summer working on my skating, because that's what, that's like what the Lightning wanted me to do, is just get better and be more confident and comfortable. So I think that's why he's down there. I agree with you I don't think they're not going to bring him up and down, especially because mentally that's just not good for his development. So I think when he does come up, it'll be to stay. That could very well change as the Lightning figure out like where their needs are, but he's a top 6 player. So right now, there's not really a specific spot for him. So it's better for him to go down there and develop.
Just keep playing. Keep on playing. What do you got down the pike coming, sir? Some great stories for the hockey news.
Ooh, I don't want to give too much away. In my stories, I've had to deal with that.
Not me. I don't do stories.
I can't give too much, but maybe that fourth line from the Panthers could be something like that.
What's been your favorite story you've written this year then? How about that?
Ooh, I think this one that I'm working on right now is good. I've really enjoyed talking to the Syracuse guys. Like, for me, it's just like getting to know players as human beings, you know, and also I've noticed like those guys are really bonding. They really bonded over training camp. And I love talking to them about like what they do outside of hockey and, you know, what it's like on the ice, like all of them being so close. So I've really enjoyed getting to know some of those guys. And then I love the Distu and Dominic James relationship. Like those two bonded. They didn't even know each other coming into training camp, and then they just clicked, and now they're up here together. So, you know, stories like that are my favorite. Like we get to the guys that have been here, like the vets, like we know them. I've done so many stories on all of them, every way that I possibly could. So it's cool to get to know some of the newer guys.
No doubt about it. Did anybody give you any grief there in South Florida when you went on Saturday?
I don't think we had any, you know, in the playoffs, it was like I noticed the media groups were kind of trolling, like we were all kind of trolling each other.
Right.
It really wasn't, they were actually very nice to us when we got there. On Saturday. They had like a bunch of food and like, it was like Southern hospitality food. And they were like, George, you know, George, he's like, everybody eat, like enjoy yourselves. So it was totally different than the playoffs because I thought it was going to be rough, but it was fine.
I think they heard about
the shoes. They didn't know if they were coming or not.
They didn't know. They were like, we got to be careful because if Jay walks in here, he's kicking everybody's ass. George's like, come to my restaurant. George Richards is great. We've had him on the show before. Really good dude. Really good dude.
So nice. Like he goes out of his way, I will say. But come the playoffs, like if the Lightning play the Panthers again in the playoffs this year, like it's gonna be, doesn't matter, man. That's why I'm gonna have to get 2 or 3 more pairs of these shoes. I had to troll him a little bit. Jay, I was like, oh, it's kind of quiet in here.
All we needed was Ed with the late arriving crowd tweet. That would have set it off. The Panther Stoppers. Look at Richie P. The Panther Stompers for sure. You got there. Diandra Loux, the Hockey News. Diandra_Loux on Twitter/XD. Appreciate your time as always. I'll see you tonight at the game.
I will see you later.
Thanks, D. Unbelievable stuff. Diandra Loux crushed it for the Hockey News. Go check her out on all social media platforms as well. Man, what a fun show today here from Benchmark International Arena. That's going to wrap it up for me, man. Make sure you follow me on all social media platforms. There's just more and more stuff about USF and Alex Golesh. This is just crazy, man. This is nuts. Really crazy stuff. And we'll try to get some more people on tomorrow to talk about Alex Golesh in the future right here on the program. A big thank you to Diandra Loux for joining us, as well as Matt Matera. Make sure you follow them on all social media platforms. Our friends at Pewter Report, the Hockey News, always doing great stuff as always. And a big thank you to our partners right here. Honest Hammer Custom Builders, LLC, and Evra Health. A big thank you to our guy, Eddie, with the $5 super chat. Yeah, excited for the game tonight. Tampa Bay Lightning, New Jersey Devils should be a good one. Hopefully you guys will be in the building as part of Bolts Nation. Can't wait for tomorrow. We got Eric Erlinson joining us from lightninginsider.com, hopefully talking about a Tampa Bay Lightning victory. Thursday, Ed Encina from the Tampa Bay Times, and, of course, our pal, Dr. Carlos Rodriguez, and the Evra Health Injury Report. David Terry, have a great time in Mexico. Everybody else, have a wonderful time, whether you're here in the Tampa Bay area or abroad. We'll see you tomorrow at noon right here on the Jay Recher Podcast. I'm gone.